Hi, everyone, and welcome to Get Hired Live. I'm your host, Brandy Fowler, news reporter for LinkedIn, and I'm coming to you live from the LinkedIn office in Atlanta. I'm going to start the show as we always do in the comments. So please hit the comments, tell us about your career, where you're from. This is a great opportunity to connect and get to know each other. And please make sure you're dropping those questions in the comments as we talk about how to break into the entertainment industry. I see a couple of people are already saying hello. We have Amy from Michigan, Lisa from New York, Faith from Kansas, and Yolanda from Texas. Welcome to all of you. I am so excited to talk about this topic today, and I'm thrilled to do it with someone who is truly a force in this industry. Datavio Samuels is the CEO of Revolt. And if you're not familiar with Revolt, it is hip hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs' media company. But Datavio has been working in the industry long before that. He has over a decade of experience, and he's known as one of the youngest and most accomplished senior executives in this country. I could talk about Datavio's accomplishments all day. I could fill this whole entire space with it. But since he's here, I'm going to kick it over to him so we can find out a little bit more about him. Thank you so much, Datavio, for joining
Hey,
today.
good morning. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Datavio, I want to just start with how did you break into the entertainment industry? And also, what does your job as CEO of Revolt entail now?
Yeah, I think my path is a little more non-traditional. I'm definitely not one of those people that woke up one day and said I wanted to be in entertainment. Ultimately, the way that I've lived my life is to always try to be directionally accurate in terms of what I thought I wanted to do. And then as I was in those jobs, I refined the work more and more. My goal at every stage was to do more of what I loved and less of what I didn't. And so when I come out of business school, I went to Stanford Graduate School of Business. When I come out in 2006, I'm actually doing global marketing at Johnson and Johnson. Loved the job, but there was a lot that I didn't love. And so from there, I made the jump and the leap into the advertising space. Had a phenomenal
I
as
think
people
we're
were. I'm back. I think I saw
okay.
it.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Uh, as people were starting to ignore more and more television commercials, we started dabbling in the space of branded entertainment, right? And so one of the big projects that we had was with Lenny Kravitz. We created a mini movie with Lenny Kravitz. It was called Fate, a 15-minute episode that was all built around Jeep. And in that moment, I start to fall in love with this idea called branded entertainment. We also took Beats by Dre speakers and put them into Chrysler, Dodges, and Jeeps. And then we would use music videos to promote them. And so that's where this bug and this excitement around this idea of entertainment actually starts to develop. And so from there, I jumped from working at Global Hue in the advertising industry to going to work with Kathy Hughes, first Black woman to IPO, Alfred Liggins, her son, who still runs the company, and jumped onto the entertainment side. And so from there, I ran their cross-platform sales business. I ran their digital media business and built an agency inside of it. And so now here I am at Revolt, where I have the honor and the privilege of leading a really amazing team who's doing really amazing work. But I would definitely say I'm not that person that woke up one day and said, let me jump into the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I think what people can take away from your story truly is that you can jump into the entertainment industry at any time. You can start to find your passion at any time too. And just to backtrack a little, we both know that landing a job in the entertainment industry is not an easy feat. It takes some skill, takes some talent, a little bit of luck, but it also takes some strategy too. So what I was saying too is like as you start in the entertainment industry, one of the first steps is really trying to find your passion. It may not come right away, and so what advice would you give someone who's really trying to hone into where they want to their career path? Would you recommend finding a mentor or interning or something like that?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I believe in this idea. The Japanese have this idea called ikigai. And ikigai is basically a component that's built of four different pillars, four different components. One is the place where you will be the happiest, the place where you will live the most meaningful life, sits at the intersection of the passions, the things you love, the gifts, the natural talents that you bring to the table, the challenges in society that you care most about and want to solve. And all of those things have to be rooted in a place where you're willing to put economics behind it. Some of our greatest passions in love, we don't want to put economics behind it. I'll give you an example. I do photography on the side for fun. I never take a check. I never take a dollar because photography is not what I want to make my money. It is my escape.
We're breaking up just a little bit, but if you have not seen Datavio's photography, please take a look at it. He's very talented. And I also, while we're trying to get Datavio back, I want to say hello to a couple more people. Hi, Val from Canada. Hi, Jen from Chicago. Hi, Christopher from Ohio. And hi, Barbie from Seattle. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, I refreshed. Let's see if that works.
All right, it's all good. We're going to get it together.
Yeah, yeah. My apologies. I don't know what's going on with my internet.
So you were talking about
so the big
before it froze up on us. We may be having some technical difficulties, guys. So if we are, let's see, Datavio, are you back? Can you hear me? Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit until we can get Datavio back. The next question I was going to ask Datavio basically was, where can you find these jobs that match your interests? Like once you figure out what you want to do in the entertainment industry. And I want Datavio to answer this question, but just to give you guys a little bit of advice. Okay, Datavio is back, I think. Are you there?
I reset Wi-Fi. I reset my browser. I haven't been home for a week and a half, so I don't know what's going on with my internet. It's just warming
Okay,
up.
well,
That's all.
we'll keep it flowing. So you were talking about your passion for photography, and that's kind of where we left off.
Yeah. So really quickly, and apologies for all that. So at the core, I think life is all about where you find your most meaning, where you find your most purpose. And a job lives at the intersection of the passions you love, the natural talent you bring to the table, the social problems that you want to solve in a way that you are willing to take and build economics around it. My example around photography is, while it is a passion and while it is a growing talent, it is not something that I ever want to get paid for. It is my escape. And so I think it's important that we separate the passions that we love and utilize as an escape from the passions that we are excited about and that we're willing to go make money off of. And so that's always been my core. I would never say that I am smarter than anyone else or more bright than anyone else, but I do believe one of the reasons why I am successful in my job is because I've always been getting in on, like, where am I the most passionate? Where am I the most talented? Right now, I'm fortunate to live in a job where my talents are leveraged, where my passions, I'm working in a job where everything I'm passionate about, I get to do every single day. And the social problems that I care about in this world are a core part of the business that we're building. And so I think anybody who is looking for kind of, what is my role in my path and how do I find the best job, I would always suggest that kind of 4-pillar approach.
So good. Thank you for that. And then once you kind of hone into your passion, where do you find the jobs? Where do you suggest that people go to look for it? Is it looking on LinkedIn? Are there specific entertainment job boards that people are checking out?
Yeah, I definitely think LinkedIn is a phenomenal place and a phenomenal opportunity. All of the world's, most successful people who are trying to build, everybody is here, and I think it creates an incredible opportunity for people to explore and find things. I think networking is a major, major, major component. I would be lying if I said that I ever got a job that was not rooted in networking. In other words, I've never applied to a black box, got a call back, and then got the job. Every job that I've ever gotten in my career since the time I came out of college in 2002 was a function of the relationships that I had built. And so I think building those relationships across the industry, whether they are with friends, people who are above you, people below you, I think all of those people can be beneficial in your career search. And then the last one that I would say is, like, I'm also really a big fan of shadowing, if that's possible, because at the end of the day, we really don't know what a job is until we are in it. And so the more we can shadow somebody for a day, shadow somebody for a week, to truly understand, is this the job that I want? Is this the job that I really think it is? So that we're not wasting time pursuing jobs at the end of the day that we're going to be unhappy with.
That is so essential, because you really learn quickly what you like, you don't like, for sure. And also, I want to go back to another thing you said about networking, because truly in the entertainment industry, your network is your net worth. And you have to make sure that you're connecting with the right people and doing what you can. So how can you network with people, and how can you do that in an authentic and an effective way, especially when you're first starting out?
Yeah, I think a lot of those things can come from mutual connections. And so a lot of times we might be connected to friends or mentors or people who can help get us inside of that room. I think that a lot of the time it's just in the work that we do every single day. You know, what advertising and working in advertising and media has taught me is every day when you work in this business, you get a shot to be great. Every day you are working on a project that people are putting tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars into. And so every day you get a chance to make a difference. Every day you get a chance to be great. And I think recognizing that that's not just true at the, performance level in what we do, but it's also true in the ways that we show up. Um, I'm also, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more, but I'm also a big fan of just giving. And so if I can, I'll walk you through how I end up getting this role at Revolt, kind of as an example. So in 2016, I'm working for Kathy Hughes and Alfred Liggins. They give me the digital business to run. At the same time, they bring in a consultant who was looking at the enterprise digital strategy for the company. As he comes in, he sits across the table from me and Alfred and our CFO, Peter Thompson, and he's basically kind of explaining what he wants to do in the digital space. I could see that as he walked out the room, he was feeling a little bit uncomfortable about, will I be able to be successful in this role within this enterprise? And so I walk him to the elevator and I say to him, look, I have a full digital team. We will make sure that you are good and that you are supported on this project while you are here. Okay, so he's in the machine, let's call it from 2016 to the middle of 2017, maybe middle of 28 or 2018. Um, October of 2019, Sean Combs Enterprises calls this exact same person saying, we are looking for a COO and we need the best person you can find to come run Revolt. He leaves that conversation, picks up the phone and calls me and says, hey, I found the role for you. I don't get that call if I never walk that man to the elevator, if I never give help, if I never offer assistance. And so for me, a lot of it comes down to just, are you willing to give? So many people, when they think about networking, it's a lot of like take, 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 take. And I've built my career very much on the very first question I always want to ask is, how can I be helpful? How can I be beneficial? And you never know when those things will come back, right? There was no way that I knew when I offered that man to be helpful in 2016, my friend Steve Borden, there's no way that I knew that it would lead me to the role that I'm in. But it was about nurturing a relationship that I didn't know what it could be, but was just willing to show up and give.
Yeah, I almost wanted to start snapping my fingers as you were talking because just the being great, like in every opportunity that you get, is so important. And then also adding value to people. What you said about people think networking is all about take, 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 but adding value is really where you can excel in your network and really just, maintain those relationships. The next question I was going to ask you, actually, you already answered really, which was about how to sustain those relationships. But I think that's pretty much about like providing value, right?
Yeah, I 100% believe it is about providing value. And I think value can come in lots of different ways. Value can come. Right now, I have a new young mentor who looks at every single LinkedIn post that I write. He comments on them. I have a new show called The Black Print. He goes to the Black Print, he listens, he pops into the comments, he gives all the key takeaways. He is showing me at every step along the way that he is following me and that he is appreciative of what I'm doing and that he is adding value because when I'm putting work out, I want people to comment on it. I want people to share it. So that stuff is free, right? Commenting, sharing, all of that stuff is free, but I think all of those are ways that you can provide value. I also think like smart gifting is an interesting way to add value, whether that is, hey, I saw this book and I think it might be useful for you in the path that you're on, or I read this article, or literally real gifting. And when I say gifting, I want to say things again that you think can provide value, but that you have to deliver them in a way that breaks through. So if you're sending somebody something, making sure that you're sending it through the sexiest package, the sexiest box, FedEx, all the things that we would naturally open. We all know that when we get snail mail, a lot of us kind of just throw that stuff away. And so making sure that even down to the packaging, you are intentional about, I need to be able to break through. I need this person to see that I'm trying to add value to their lives. And so differentiating yourself, not only in the gift, but how the gift shows up.
I love that. Such great tips. And I just want to take a minute to say hi to a few more people who are commenting. Hi, Ellen from Virginia, Marie from Washington, Calvin from Nevada, and Kevin from Maryland. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to roll over our next question. Okay. So there seems to be an an unspoken rule that when you take on Let me start that over, actually. There seems to be an unspoken rule that you need to start from the bottom when you're working your way up in the entertainment industry. Can you talk about the value, though, of those entry levels and how you can use those to get to the next level?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I don't know that I ever really started from the bottom, but what I can tell you is there is tremendous value in those entry level roles. A lot of times, those entry level roles give you an opportunity to work across a company, to see across multiple divisions. And so, again, as we are going on this journey, trying to identify what sets our soul on fire, what excites us the most, who in this company can be meaningful and impactful along my journey. Everybody needs both mentors and sponsors within the company that they're in. Finding mentors and finding sponsors from across the company, a lot of times those entry level positions will allow you to do it. It is also true that I believe that, senior executives and mid-level managers and directors often want to pour into people who are in these entry level roles. And so I think you have a unique situation when you get to start there. But I want to also say, just again, back to my career, my first real entry level role was fresh out of Duke University in 2002. I went to the Career Management Center. I worked at Duke's Business School. And let's say I started in August. That day, I was determined, again, to be great every day, to show up in a differentiated way every single day. And so what ultimately ended up happening is I was hired at the same time with a gentleman who was hired in a role above me. That gentleman underperformed in the first 30 to 45 days. He was probably 10 years my senior. Me, on the other hand, young, fresh in this entry role, but every day was trying to be great. Every day was trying to show them that I'm not your average candidate. I'm not your average employee. And when they decided to let this gentleman go 45 days into the job, I got his job, right? And so again, that's just back to this idea about how are we showing up every single day to differentiate ourselves, to add value, because you never know when the opportunity can come for you to get your leap in your next step.
Yes, absolutely. Again, it is about being great in every opportunity you have, even those entry level roles. And as somebody who did start out at the bottom, I can tell you it is difficult. But like, if you keep that in mind to show up and be great every day, like that is so helpful for sure. And I want to move on actually to something I've seen in the past, like few years, about the importance of content creation and how people are using that to kind of break into the entertainment industry too, because you can position yourself as a thought leader or just as a really creative content creator. And can you talk about how that can help you break into the industry and how you can use your content creation to attract like talent managers, agents, or recruiters?
Yeah, I'll talk about two things. I want to talk about demonstrable interest, and I also want to talk about showcasing your unique lens or your unique approach. So on demonstrable interest, what happens is a lot of times people will come to you and say, I want to be the next director. I want to be the next producer. I want to be the next writer. I want to be the next rapper. Today, there's no excuse for you to not have been making major moves in those spaces, whether you have been given the opportunity or not. And so if you tell me you want to be a great producer, my first expectation is that I'm going to be able to go somewhere online in your phone. You're going to be, but show me the movie that you shot on your iPhone. Show me the music video that you and your friends created. That because the tools that we all need to create are so inexpensive and accessible these days, I expect to be able to see your work. So many of the times that we are looking for creatives to hire honestly starts with their IG page. Let me go see what their work on IG looks like. And we're passing those types of things around. So that's one. Two, and you talked about this notion of being a thought leader. In this day and age, again, there's going to be 1,000 people who want that director job, 1,000 people who want that producer job. Where people will separate themselves, of course, is in the performance and the quality of the work. But in this day and age, your lens, your unique lens, your unique approach, the way you see the world, your perspective is so critical. And so I think that, blogging in places like LinkedIn and showcasing that thought leadership allows people to see and understand the unique lens that you will bring to the table.
Yeah, definitely. And you've dropped so many gems already, but I am curious if you could just talk about the fact that pursuing roles can be challenging in the entertainment industry. You can run up to so many different things. Can you talk about what you would tell someone to keep in mind during the process of pursuing a career in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, this industry ain't made for suckers. Just kidding. So at the end of the day, it's life, right? And in life, you're always going to get more no's than you're going to get yeses, right? So even when I think about my teams and the fact that we sell in the brands and we sell in the advertisers, we might win one RFP out of every four. And so if you are not built with that resilience, if you are not built with that stick to itiveness, I think it's going to be a challenge. At the end of the day, a lot of these things are a numbers game. And so you have to be willing to apply to 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 jobs before you actually land the role that you want. And so I think that is a lot about resilience. I think that is a lot about grit, but I also think it's a lot about just understanding the way that the world works. Yes, you may find one person who happened to apply for one job and get it, but I think that is an anomaly. I think that most people are applying and applying and applying, and they're trying and they're taking shots. And at some point in time, you got to know, if you're shooting 100 jump shots, one of them going to land, but you got to be willing to shoot 100 jump shots.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you've already told us so many different things and, great takeaways that people can hold on to. But I also want to know, what is one thing you've learned during your career that you think would be critical for somebody to know who's trying to pursue a career in this industry that you haven't said yet?
Yeah, maybe go back to, I'll give you two things. I want to talk about jumping ladders, and I want to talk about unleashing your magic. So the first one, I'll start with unleashing your magic. The way we are brought up, a lot of times we have an external disposition. We are often looking at other people and seeing the greatness that is within them. And a lot of times we see those gifts and we covet those gifts, like, oh man, I wish I could be a writer like that, or I wish I could do that work. But in order for you to thrive, in order for you to be successful, in order for you to win, that work has to be inside. You have to be looking and uncovering, where is my magic? What makes me special? What is going to separate me from the pack? What are those gifts? And then you have to be willing to do the work to maximize them. I always say, like, nobody hires for weaknesses, right? I have a book, and one of the chapters is like, screw weaknesses. Nobody hires for weaknesses. They only hire for mastery. And so I don't want to hear about the thing that you're a D at trying to get to a C. I want to hear about the thing that you're an A trying to get to an A++. And so just making sure that we're taking the time to look inside of ourselves, uncover that magic, be willing to fuel and grow that magic that's within us. I think that's what's going to be key to helping us get to the next level. The other idea that I have that I talk a lot about is jumping ladders. And so I did a lot of jumping ladders in my career. So even as we talked about the entry level positions, a lot of times people think that the fastest way to the top is to start at the very bottom and then go directly up the chain. But that is often not the case and is often not true. And the example that I use all the time is, if that was true, then every president of the United States would have started out in some local municipality, became mayor, became governor, became Senate and Congress, and then became president. There's like 3 or 4 presidents that have done that, right? You can even just look at the last president, President Trump, who came from a whole different world, right? And so building a career where you're not always just looking up, but you're looking up and over. And so I started my career doing global marketing at Johnson & Johnson. I then jumped to a ladder to a higher position at an agency running client services. I knew nothing about running the agency, but I knew everything about how brands strategize, how brands pick great ideas. And that knowledge was the knowledge that was important for the agency world. I then made my way up to the top of that and then jumped over to the media side, knowing very little about media. But at that point in time, what I knew about was great ideas. How do you get to great ideas? How do you get to exciting ideas? And how can you build that into the media process? And so I think there's also just a phenomenal opportunity to get to the top, not just by going straight up, but by looking for those adjacent opportunities where you provide value that is needed in a company that they don't have.
Yes, so helpful. Before we wrap, I want to actually get some questions from our members. And we have one from David who asked, who should you be networking with when you want to break into entertainment? That's actually important.
Yeah, I think you should be working with anybody you can find. At the end of the day, you never know who's connected to who. And so I think there's a tremendous opportunity to value every single interaction, to value every single relationship. One of the things that I'll say is what's beautiful about my career right now is I started with so many people kind of at the bottom as we were building our ways up. Now all of those friends, now all of those relationships are sitting in phenomenal seats that are CMOs of companies, that are CEOs of companies. If I would not have valued those relationships back then, then we couldn't be doing the work that we're doing together now. And so my big thing is never underestimate anybody. You never know where someone's going to show up in your life to be able to be helpful or harmful. And so I think networking with as many people as you can is absolutely critical.
Yes. And on the same note about networking, we talked about mentorship and the value of that. And Morgan asked, how do you find a mentor who is experienced in the industry when you're just starting out?
Yeah. Mentoring is hard because if you're trying to get the people at the top, I think they are all, lots of those people tend to be busy. And so what I would say is, get you a short list of people who you want to be your mentors, and then be very systematic about how you start to interact with them. I can't tell you how many people I now have relationships with, again, because they were interacting with me in my LinkedIn comments, because they were celebrating and sending my work across Instagram. And the more you do that, the more that person is going to start to pay attention, because again, you are adding value to their life and their career. And as they start to pay attention to you, it gives you an opening to try to build relationship. And I think that as you build that relationship, again, maybe one of the first things you don't want to ask is, what can I take? Maybe one of the first questions you want to ask is, I love your work. I love what you're doing. How can I be helpful? And again, I just think the more that we give and the more that we give and give and give, that we will reap the benefits on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I have one more question for you. Casey asked, what makes a candidate stand out to you during an interview?
Okay, a couple of things. One of the biggest questions that I ask everybody all of the time is, what gives you energy and what takes away energy? One of the questions that people are used to getting is, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And we all know that people have found very interesting ways to kind of turn weaknesses into strengths or make them sound different. I actually don't care about that. What I care about is, what sets your soul on fire? What excites you? What are the projects that I can give you that aren't due for 6 months, but you're going to get them done in 6 weeks? Not because I told you to, but because you're so excited about that work. The other one, which is the opposite, which is, what takes away energy? What are those assignments where you might be good at it, but if I give you an assignment and again tell you that I need it in 6 months, I might not see it, or you might not do it until the 6-month mark, right? And so a good example for me is, I can model, right? Anyone who goes to business school, you learn how to model. I started out as an analyst building spreadsheets. I can do it, but that stuff doesn't give me energy. And so the people who set themselves apart for me in the interview are the people who have done the work to say, the things that give me energy are exactly the things that are required in this job. And the things that take away energy, it's not that they may not be in the job at all, but they won't be the majority of it. So I'm always trying to fit, what do I need and where is their energy? And that's one of the biggest questions and biggest ways that I always try to figure it out.
Yes. Datavio, thank you so much. I can't even believe we've already gone through 30 minutes that quickly. You dropped some incredible tips, and I hope people watch this, watch it over, implement it, take it into the new year with them. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you for putting up with my IT challenges. My computer didn't want to like us today. But I just want to say thank you for having me here. You and I have a lot of Duke love. I'm such a fan of the work that you're doing. I'm excited to see you over there doing your thing. So thank you for having me, Queen.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody else, for joining. I really appreciate you for participating and dropping your comments and questions. And Get Hired will return after the holidays. But in the meantime, check out Andrew Seaman's weekly Get Hired podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts or search for Get Hired with Andrew Seaman, wherever you like to listen. On this week's episode, Andrew chats with Walmart's Donna Morris about growing within an organization, but there is an archive of many other conversations for you to listen to as well. And as we wrap up the year, this is the last Get Hired Live, so I just wanted to encourage you to take care of your mental health. Make sure you're checking on the people around you, making sure that they're okay. Have a happy holiday season and a great rest of the year.